Are you familiar with FBI Special Agents Kyle Seraphin?
I'm familiar with the name.
Is that yes?
I'm familiar with the name. Familiar with the name. Familiar with the name.
Let's bring in Kyle Seraphin. He's the FBI whistleblower who helped expose government censorship of our First Amendment rights.
Now, we only have this memo because a recently suspended FBI agent called Kyle Seraphin brought it to the public. And we're grateful that he did. Kyle, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
He's the host of something that strangely is called the Kyle Seraphin Show.
Kyle Seraphin, I can't thank you enough for speaking out. I knew you guys were out there, and I knew it was just a matter of time. But you got a lot of guts putting your face and your name to this. You're doing a service on behalf of the American people, and from the bottom of my cracked and broken heart sometimes, thank you very much.
Take a look behind the curtain with a real whistleblower and American patriot. Prepare to embrace the uncomfortable truth because this program has no time for comforting lies. Here is civil liberties enthusiast, Second Amendment defender, and recovering FBI agent Kyle Seraphin.
Well, hello, my friends. Welcome to the Kyle Seraphin Show. Yeah, we are a couple seconds late today. It is Wednesday, August 21st. We're coming off a interview talking about gold. I think we probably upset some people yesterday. Hopefully we informed our audience. Hopefully you listened to that show. And if you did not, please make sure that you do. Make sure you go back, especially if you're considering a Gold IRA. Our guest, Andy Schectman, was able to tell us, I think, the warning signs of what you should be looking for. And when I'm telling you that people have come in, I've turned down $60,000 a year worth of advertising simply because I don't believe in the products, because I know that they're fleecing it from you. That's why I don't advertise. And who don't I advertise with? I don't let Birch Gold. I don't let Goldco. I don't like Alpha Gold. Any of these companies, Patriot Gold, you name it, they're all doing the same thing. They're all doing markups. If they are listing precious metals IRAs as the first thing on their website, you have a pretty good idea that these folks are coming for your life savings, and they're willing to give it to guys like me, except I won't take it. They're willing to give it to people who have influence, that are doing podcasts, that are doing major social media presences. They're willing to give it to their salespeople, et cetera, et cetera. They're willing to give it to the owner of the company, as we talked about yesterday. Make sure you guys listen to that podcast if you're thinking about trying to protect your wealth with gold. Listen, there was a brilliant piece in there too, and we'll do a sponsor in 1 second, but there's a brilliant little thing that I think Andy Schectman laid out that people who like crypto, because I had this discussion back and forth yesterday with Ryan Madden. He's like, I'm not going to pick up shiny rocks out of the ground to try to protect my savings. All right, dude. They're the same people that are going through the crypto door are going through the gold door. The difference is the gold people turn to the right and they want to protect the thing that they have. They've already made money and they want to make sure that it is retained and doesn't depreciate. And people in the crypto space realize that the money system is also broken and they want to try to use something that's more speculative and making money. Here's my big problem with crypto. It continues to be the big problem I don't understand about it, why people get involved. My cousin, who is my sort of money influence person that I go to, has led me to this belief. There are people out there who have way more money in crypto and they are able to make swings happen that you can't see. For me, it's like sitting down at a casino table where not only does the house have the odds, but also there are people playing around the table with you that you don't know that are also playing on behalf of the house. And they're making moves on behalf of the house. For me, that's a no-brainer. I don't get involved in games I don't understand. I don't bet money on sports that I don't understand. I actually don't bet money on sports, period. But I don't get involved in this kind of stuff. And in any case, that's the wealth management. I don't do money stuff. But we were able to put away enough money and make sure that we had passive income so that we could resist the FBI trying to force that on us. So for whatever it's worth, I try to make good decisions. I try to make ethical decisions. And I hope you guys also are out there protecting what you have. I do it with firearms. I'm going to read them up first. They've been really good to me. Shield Arms sent me a couple of their magazine things. I ended up buying the rifle that you see on the screen with my own dollars. So I believe in their products. They make a really, really, really nice gun, but they also make outstanding accessories if you happen to carry a Glock or if you carry one of the sort of micro pistols and you want to increase the capacity. Check out shieldarms.com. It's shield spelled out just like you would use in a Roman battle. Arms, A-R-M-S at the end of it, shieldarms.com. Use the promo code KYLE, same as you find on all of our other promo codes. Saves you 5% site-wide. Any accessories, but also on firearms, which is not a deal you're going to get. They're selling these things if you want to go pick one up. Cabela's, Bass Pro, you name it, you can go and check them out. They make a folding stock AR that is integrated into the lower. It's lighter, it's faster, it's a really, really nice product, and you guys can go check them out at shieldarms.com. Promo code KYLE will save you a couple bucks, and we'll get into some of the other sponsors. Catholic Vote's doing really good coverage too right now. So if you're not getting the loop, you should check that out. Let's do some stories. All right, the reason that I showed up a couple of minutes late to the podcast today is because I jam-packed. I actually created more scenes. If any of you know how these things work, I had to create like some scenes and I had to add some video slots. I have more scenes than I have probably ever done before, more videos than we've ever showed. We missed an entire day of the DNC, and it is like a gold rush there of insanity. Let me give you my overall take on what the DNC looks like, because if you read the show notes, you kind of get a taste of it. To me, it is like a bunch of loony, disaffected, wealthy, white wine moms and beta dads hanging out at a dinner party. And they're all enjoying, each other's company and the sort of frou-frou BS, and maybe there's a fondue thing there, and maybe somebody actually rented a chocolate fountain, and there's some poor bastard on the outside that's got a chainsaw and he's doing some ice sculpturing. And then meanwhile, all their teenage children are completely unsupervised, have never gotten any discipline, and they are out ripping up the neighborhood. They're shooting Roman candles at the little kids that are trying to ride bikes. They're trying to flip over parents who have, like their kids in a stroller. It's chaos out there. And that's what we're seeing. There are literally thousands of Chicago PD officers that are on the line trying to just trying to keep the semblance of order. And as we said the other day, when you have all of the cops, all of them that they can spare, and they have to grab even more than they should spare, when they are all sitting there around the Israeli consulate and they're outside the DNC's sort of physical premise where they are holding these events, that means that the neighborhoods in Chicago are probably going to get insane, to the point where some dude who committed murders and was convicted and was in a prison facility in Mississippi thought, you know where I'm going to run? I'm going to run to Chicago, Illinois and hole up in a restaurant. So we'll cover that towards the end today, but expect like a lot of weird stuff coming on. Let's go ahead and get started right away with all of this stuff. Anyway, that's the general take. CNN, of course, has slightly different takes. These are their takeaways from the DNC on the second night. You're seeing a picture of Michelle Obama. In the last two nights, we've seen Barack Obama do his thing. We've seen Joe Biden do his thing. We've seen Michelle. We've seen a bunch of sort of like loony lefty women get up, making arguments, I think, for the repealing of the 19th Amendment. Women that are conservative. I say this tongue in cheek because I do think it's kind of funny, and I know that it pokes the bear with you all. But there's some really, really nutty women out there in this country. And they seem to have been led to believe that whatever they do is normal. It's a shame that we've seen the Democrat side and the media run with the word weird, talking about JD Vance. I hadn't realized how often I say the word weird. And there's almost no way that you can't just go, that's weird, that's weirder, that's the weirdest. Nope, actually they're going to top it with the weirdness that happens in the DNC. These people are so strange and so detached from everyday normal people that I run into. Like I deal with people that are not conservative. Actually, I find less and less of them. Maybe it's because I live in Texas. Maybe it's because I live in a small town. Maybe it's because people are not as nuts as these people would have you believe that all people are. So we're going to get a good taste of this. In any case, CNN lets us know that Barack Obama and Michelle Obama electrified the DNC on Tuesday night. That was last night, delivering back-to-back speeches that eviscerated Donald Trump and urged Americans to reject the Republican nominee. Let me say that Barack Obama is an excellent actor. He really is. He's so full of shit that he believes it himself. And that is a hallmark of a really good actor, the method actor, the person who internalizes the feelings. He mentioned that not only is he proud that Joe Biden was his president, but he's proud to call him his friend. I just don't buy it. But I think he bought it, because when I watched him, he almost got himself choked up with his own BS. And that had nothing on Michelle Obama. Michelle Obama said maybe the most racist thing that I've ever heard a political figure say, at least in my lifetime. And we're going to play that momentarily. In any case, it was one of the most memorable speeches in history. She said Democrats need to drop the Goldilocks complex, that they are looking for the just right representative. Try to sell that as best you can, y'all. And not to be outdone by the print that CNN has put on, I don't want to run too far away from this before we play some video clips, because I got a bunch. I think I have like 18 video clips. Van Jones was appropriately choked up throughout this. So here's a little taste of sort of that breathless coverage. It almost sounds like a spiritual revival, except these people don't believe in God. They have an abortion clinic outside the front doors.
This is his moment tonight. It's his moment, Scott.
Yeah, Biden is known in his career as being one of the best.
Sorry. This is Van Jones setting up a guy who says it how it is, which is that Joe Biden got kicked out, and it wasn't very nice. I had another Van Jones clip, and I decided to go against it because it grossed me out.
This is his moment tonight. It's his moment, Scott.
Yeah, Biden is known in his career as being one of the best eulogy givers at funerals, and now they're making him come and give his own career.
He has
eulogy.
Files of every eulogy.
Yeah,
he's ever
and now
given.
they're making him give his own eulogy at this convention. I mean,
You have to give one. It's best that you get to give your own.
yeah, I guess. I am anxious to see how they handle it. It's a sticky wicket. I mean, he was bullied out of this race after 52 years of service to the Democratic Party, and it wasn't all about his age. He was unpopular. He was going to lose. It was Afghanistan. It was inflation. It was immigration. And now, and he had to be dragged out by the fingernails. I'm sorry. This is not, so he's not here in a happy moment, okay? I know this yarn that's being spun in this hall that he was popular and selfless and handing on. No. It is the opposite, and everybody knows it, and yet the Democrats are engaging in this theater of looking into cameras and saying it. So it's not true.
Oops. I think that's the quiet part out loud, isn't it? It didn't end there, by the way. And they were really rough on what happened to Joe Biden. You get the feeling that CNN feels a little betrayed, that they were the ones that were used to bring him on the stage, and that they were using that CNN, remember? The CNN debate that was used as a cudgel. And then, you know, the intern that was co-opted in the coup was able to say that Joe Biden had stepped out of the race before Joe Biden even knew that he stepped out of the race. All of that. Chris Wallace says it pretty well, too. We're going to get a little taste of the reason why Joe Biden can't stay in there. It's because he says things that are dumb and he can't keep his mouth together and he's just falling apart. But Chris Wallace calls it bittersweet and likens it to throwing him out of a window. Huh.
You know, well, the word that everybody is using to describe tonight is bittersweet. It's just bitter. The fact of the matter, I'm not saying Joe Biden is bitter, but, you know, it's like you've been thrown out a window, and as you're falling, you go, gee, it's nice out here. No, he got thrown out of a window, and basically he was forced. You know, there's going to be a lot of talk tonight about how generous it was of him and selfless of him. He was basically forced out by Nancy Pelosi and Barack Obama and Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries. And I suspect even the fact that there has been this surge of enthusiasm since he left and Kamala Harris took his place, that's got to be pretty tough, too. You got thrown out of a window and everybody's applauding the person who's now in the room.
What a great little analogy. They threw him out the window and then they applauded the person who defenestrated him. Yeah, that's what happened, though, is it not? The Kamala coup or the Barack Obama coup, I don't know who was behind it. It doesn't really make a difference. Nancy Pelosi, all part of it. At one point in time, they showed a video of, or there was a clip cutting away from Joe Biden speaking, and they showed Nancy, and they were cheering, "We love Joe." And she looked like somebody was torturing her with hot poker. She looked like someone was pulling off her toenails, which I have to imagine are probably as ugly as mine, like dragon toes. And they're just going... she's like, "We love Joe. Like, the camera's on me. I know they're watching." Super weird. The reason why Joe had to go is because Joe was a terrible candidate. Kamala Harris is no better. She should lay claim to all of the worst parts of Joe Biden's regime and all the legacy that's going to exist from this one-term president. Like I said, very weird to think that we have probably the longest first-term lame duck period that's ever existed. People have sort of forgotten about him. Why? Because he's terrible. Because he says things like this. And I don't know if he's trying to say legal or illegal, but the dreamers, the so-called dreamers, those are people that are illegal immigrants. They're illegal aliens that came into this country. Just because Barack Obama was able to get something through with an executive order and allowing them to stick around doesn't make the way that they came to this country legal. So Joe Biden is going to let you know. And I assume this is the Kamala Harris policy as well. There's no reason not to be. They're all in. He says it. They're all in on illegals. So shame on you for thinking otherwise.
When Donald Trump left office, and unlike Trump, we will not demonize immigrants, saying they're the poison of blood of America, poison the blood of our country. Kamala and I are committed to strengthening legal immigration, including protecting dreamers and more.
What is the and more? I've got a really good impression, by the way, of Joe Biden coming up for our palate cleanse, so I hope you guys will stick around for that, because once you hear it, you're like, aha, yes, that's exactly what he does. He just stumbles over words because he's old and he's angry and he illogically screams about stuff. At one point, he was talking and then he started like raising his voice up and he's screaming about assault weapons and that the number one cause of killing children or the children dying in America is a bullet. And you're like, no, it's not. That's not true. Just making stuff up, dude. It's not real. In any case, maybe the award for best projection and craziest take that I've heard was this lady. I don't know. She was like some state senator, I think. I'm just calling her red based on the red hair. Nothing against any of you that are redheads, but you know your tribe is a little crazy, are they not? And this woman has done the thing at a masterful level that we would refer to as projection. Projection is when you've done something and then you claim someone else did it, and you're mad at them for it. I actually had this conversation with my wife years ago when somebody was saying all these really nasty things about her, and like none of them are true about her at all, but they're exactly true about the person who's saying it. I'm like, hon, you're a professional in this field. That's projection. Projection is the way that Democrats deal with, I think a lot of people on the political left have to deal with that hypocrisy, with that internalized sort of a monologue that bounces against them head. They would either have like migraines every day when they wake up because their ideas don't even agree with their own ideas. Their values don't align with the way that they actually carry themselves. And they have to know that. That cognitive dissonance, the idea that as you have one idea and it's directly diametrically opposed to another and you're trying to hold it in your head. But this is not a thing where you could say two things could be true at once because they're not totally related. They're not mutually exclusive categories. They're literally exclusive. You can't believe both, and they try to. And so here's a woman doing the projection game, talking about something I know a little bit about. And some of you are watching this podcast specifically, listening to this podcast specifically because this actually happened already. It actually happened under Joe Biden's regime. You'll remember the winter of sickness and death that was going to befall all of us filthy individuals that refused to get those COVID shots. What's most funny, my best friend's wife said this the other day. She said, our kid just got COVID and she's going to go off to college. She's my goddaughter. And it's good. It's like a booster shot for her. She doesn't need to get a booster because she just got COVID. And so it's going to strengthen her immune system. That hurts my brain when people who were all in on getting shots are now saying that getting COVID is like getting a booster shot. I mean, that was my original position, wasn't it? In addition to the fact that I didn't want to get something that had to do with abortion. I didn't want to get some fetal cell lines injected in my body. But more importantly, how many of you knew that when you got sick with something and then you recovered from it, then you would be fine? I contracted COVID in 2020 in like November, I think, probably when I came back from a long trip because I was out in Portland with a bunch of psychos who were tearing up the city, not unlike what's happening in Chicago. And then I had it. There was no other option. The treatments were minimal. I stayed home. I shook like a leaf for one night, like many of you did. It wasn't a moral judgment. I was just on planes. I was in 20 different states in 2020. And then I came back and I'm like, yeah, I'm good. I had it. I went through the protocols of telling my boss. They sent me home. They said, you can't come to work. By the way, I got a bunch of text messages from my colleagues, and they said, hey, Kyle, you gave us a 2-week vacation because every one of us had been in the same room in the last week. They were like, thanks so much. By the way, I'm pretty sure I actually got it from my buddy Josh, who was a SWAT guy, and the SWAT guys were all hanging out. And one of the SWAT guys didn't follow the protocols. Whatever. Who cared? I lived through it. So did my pregnant wife, by the way, at the time, pregnant with number 3. And so did my little kids. And no one really knew what was going on at that point. September, October, whatever it was of 2020. It wasn't really sure, like, oh, this is sounding scary. I sort of just knew it wasn't. Anyway, this lady talks about weaponization. It strikes me a little disingenuous and it hits a little closer to home when someone says Donald Trump is going to weaponize the DOJ. Really? Really, Red?
Donald Trump would be able to weaponize the Department of Justice to go after his political opponents. He could even turn the FBI into his own personal police force. That is not how it works in America. That's how it works in dictatorships.
I mean, okay, I agree. Biden's a lot more like a dictator than I'm comfortable with. How about you? He dictated that everybody better follow along and do what they said and do exactly the way that they said it. And that if you were a federal employee, do you remember they were muscling every company that had more than 100 people under OSHA regulations to get the shots too? That's pretty dictatorial. It's also completely arbitrary and capricious, which is what the law has said. And by the way, we challenged them in court. I work with a group called Feds for Medical Freedom. They're now just called Feds for Freedom. You guys can check out their podcast. It's on YouTube as well. I'm friends with the people that run it. They're good people. They have the right ideas. I stayed out of their leadership and I went my own way because I'm a little bit more aggressive and I'm a little bit meaner and I don't need anybody to tell me to be nice. I'd tear the whole damn thing down. But when it comes down to it, we funded a bunch of lawsuits and those lawsuits were all successful. Basically, the Biden administration turned tail and retreated. They said our legal ramifications was that it went to a certain level. We had injunctions nationwide. And I crowdsourced and I helped fund like 5 or 6 different people from a bunch of different agencies. So if you're a federal employee and you didn't have to get the shots because of the injunctions and you weren't part of the lawsuit, you're welcome. And thank the people from Feds for Medical Freedom, the Feds for Freedom folks, because we got that injunction and the Biden administration pulled it back. And then the court said, well, it's moot because they've withdrawn the mandate. Same thing for the military, by the way. They screwed over 80,000 troops' lives, people who were kicked out because they simply had religious convictions and none of those things could be accommodated. And yet it didn't seem like anyone gave a damn about us when we were out there traveling the country or doing the work while COVID was still going on. In any case, Red says it's a dictatorship. I don't know. This is like a parade of like loony women and we're getting more and more loony and cringy. That woman, whether she was on cocaine or whether she just got really nervous because she was out giving a speech and she stuck her tongue out a lot, which is a weird way to talk. And it's probably because she doesn't give a lot of speeches. She did a pretty good job delivering her message, even if the message was disingenuous. But I felt very strange about the way that her mouth was moving, and many of you have cited that as well. Kathy Hochul is the governor of New York. That's not a nice place. If you live in New York, my apologies, my condolences. I hope you move. I posted a picture of one of the boxes. I have many of these boxes. Well, several of them, I should say. Boxes of guns that I have, and they're all suppressed, and they're all short, and they're all indoor, guns capabilities, 9mm, 300 blackout, 5.56, and so on. So I posted all these different guns the other day, and I had a number of people say, "Oh, I wish I could own them, but I live in a place where they're illegal." Fix that, people. Fix it yourself. If you don't live in a place that believes in freedom, you're literally funding your own tyranny. You're funding that weaponized DOJ. You're funding it all. We're all doing that by living in America and paying property taxes or paying income taxes. But if your property taxes are directly funding the things that are coming after you, you need to make changes. I know I listened to Dan for a long time. Dan Bongino used to talk about this, fight where you are. And then at some point he said, it's time to leave. California, I understand. I got into a little kind of back and forth, and I'm not trying to be mean. I'm saying I have moved my family more times than I can count. I went to 10 different schools before I got into high school because we were trying to find the right places. And as a grown-up, I do the same thing. My wife and I have been in 5 houses in our marriage, and maybe more. You go where the opportunity is, yes. You also have to go where freedom is if there is no way to do it. And I'm not talking about turning tail and running. I'm saying man up and do something difficult, which is to say you don't let the government oppress you and you don't pay for your own oppression. It's the same problem I had with people that just stuck around and said, well, I'm just going to get these shots because I need the job and I can't get out of work. Figure it out, people. This is why America is in such a bad way. And that's hard for a lot of people to hear. So if that hits home and rubs you raw, it's on purpose. How much discomfort are you willing to endure for freedom? It turns out that our ancestors were willing to put their entire lives, their fortunes, their sacred honor, all on the line. How much of that are you willing to put on the line? It's time to wake up. These people are nuts. Listen to the governor of New York. If you live in the state, this is your boss. This is the one who's going to lock you down. And I've got something that might scare the crap out of you if you've never seen how radical it was in Minnesota as we keep going. Have a little touch of this. It will upset you if this is what you're funding.
It's no wonder he had a fleet of Mar-a-Lago. Sorry about that, Florida. Sorry about that. Trump hasn't spent much time in New York lately, except that is to get convicted of 34 felonies. And that's just fine with us, because New York's motto is Excelsior, ever upward. and Trump takes us ever downward.
Yuck. These are the takeaways that I've had from the first couple nights of the DNC. And for those of you, and I saw you, Nicole, in the chat saying, oh, like, I can't afford to move out of New Jersey. It's a shame. I can't afford to move out of New York. I hear this argument all the time. How can you afford to live under tyranny? That's it. That's the only question. You can't afford, I couldn't afford to have a house, but we left. And I had kids, little kids. My youngest was still like toddling around. It's hard to make difficult decisions. I just don't want to hear people complaining about it otherwise. If you decide to be somewhere, don't remove agency from yourself. Take responsibility and say, I choose to live here and I'm going to do the best I can. But not, I'd like to move, but my circumstances don't allow it. That's false. You can literally get up in America and walk out of that state. And people have done it. People used to get on the Oregon Trail and go off into the middle of nowhere and they would die en route trying to make a better life for themselves. So if you want to say you're American and you believe in freedom, freedom is uncomfortable and it isn't free. And sometimes it costs you, and it can cost you dearly. I just want you guys to look at the example of friends like Garrett O'Boyle. We knew exactly what was coming for us. Do you want to know why Garrett O'Boyle is so brave? Why he's one of the people that I love so dearly? It's because he saw what happened to me. And he kept doing what he was doing, knowing they would come for him, knowing that he had a pregnant wife. And they did it when she was a couple weeks postpartum. They had a 2-week-old infant and no home. They sold their house in good faith and moved, and they canceled him right then. If you guys are going to deal with something that's harder than that, let me know, please. Put it in the comments. This is my situation. It's so much harder. I've heard about elderly parents. There's a lot of opportunities. I'm not trying to beat you guys over the head over this. I'm just letting you know hard times are coming. And if you haven't seen what's going on outside of the DNC, this is an example. A little more Looney Tunes, is a little more lighthearted. I don't know what kind of batshit crazy this is, but this is a Irish woman, last name Flanagan, telling you her Indian name. How people listen to this and think like, oh yeah, this is exactly the party that represents me. Let's do what should be an Irish Catholic lady talking in Indian gibberish. Let's move this forward.
Your life. My name in the Ojibwe language is Gigi Wewadam Ukwe, or in English, speaks with a clear and loud voice, woman. I'm a member of the White Earth Nation, and my family is the Wolf Clan. And the role of our clan is to ensure that we never leave anyone behind. That's why I am supporting Kamala Harris and Tim Walz to be the next president and vice president of the United States.
Yo, my name is Kyle Shamalama Ding Dong. What the hell is that? In the Ojibwe language. She's a weird white lady with like librarian glasses. If you didn't see that, she's like standing there diminutively wearing this like sort of culturally appropriated Navajo blanket jacket. What in the actual hell is going on up there? How did they think this was going to be a good win? She brought up Tim Walz, which I'm going to do in just 1 second. I mean, her clan is the Wolf Clan, y'all, whatever that means. My clan is the Black Flag Protocol Clan. We're ready to spit on our hands and start slitting throats when people come for our freedoms and for our children. You want to be part of that clan? Join us. You can actually do that over at Locals here because we do put out some fun stuff on Locals. KyleSerafin.com. If you want to go to our Locals channel, KyleSerafin.com. It's very easy. It'll redirect you to the Locals page. You can sign up there. There's free membership. There's paid membership. You can be part of either one. You will miss out a little bit if you're not part of the subscriber base. And if you're subscribing anywhere else and you want to drop that and join us on Locals, let's consolidate in one place. By all means, KyleSerafin.com. Let me do my friends over at Catholic Vote who are crushing it right now, doing a great job. CatholicVote.org, at Catholic Vote, if you want to follow them. They're putting out a lot of really good stuff on social media. Today's loop leads off with Illinois pro-life organization decries a cardinal appearing at the DNC. The Illinois Right to Life has expressed extreme disappointment after the Chicago Archbishop, a guy named Cardinal Blase Kupik, offered an invocation at the DNC where they're giving abortions outside. When you guys point out the issues that exist in the Catholic Church, particularly in the hierarchy and in the political structure, my friends at Catholic Vote get it, as do I. All real Catholics understand that there are some real squishy people involved in this organization, and we're fighting against that as well. That's why we stay in that church, because we don't give up 2,000 years of history. This is not like 200 years of American history. We're talking 2,000 years of tradition and faith. CatholicVote.org is in that fight for faith, for family, for freedom, for your firearms rights. A lot of F's in there. And you guys can follow them at Catholic Vote on any of the social medias. But more importantly, you can get the loop, which you should get, and just go to CatholicVote.org and put in your email and get that. And you will benefit from it. And they see all the same problems. I've got some Looney Tunes AOC, which is some pretty bad acting. This gets worse and worse. Let me just break to a story for a second. So we'll do this. This is the AP reporting. And this one is kind of fun, talking about fact checking, because there's two parts of the fact check. There's what the left does for fact checking. And then there's when the left fact checks itself. Tim Walz describes his family as having IVF and the experience of IVF, and how dare anybody speak out against in vitro fertilization. That's when they take an egg and a sperm and they go out and they fertilize them, and so you throw away a bunch of embryos, which should be human lives. That's the big problem that people have with it. But apparently his wife had a different experience, totally different experience. Wasn't IVF at all. Her experience was something that was called in uterine, which is to say someone put sperm in her uterus. And the question that we have to have is, was it Tim's? I mean, seriously, was it? Or was he sitting in the cuck chair watching this while she said that the artificial inseminator was better? Like, this is really, really strange stuff, people. Yes, it could be a turkey baster. Or it could have been just another dude. By the way, Michelle Obama said she had IVF. So now they're all in on this thing. It's so strange. This is the spokesperson, a person called Mia Engelberg, or Ehrenberg, rather. Mia Ehrenberg is a campaign spokesperson for Walz and denied that he'd been misleading, saying Governor Walz talks how normal people talk. He was just using a commonly understood shorthand for fertility treatments, except IVF isn't a commonly understood shorthand for fertility treatments. Fertility treatments is common shorthand for fertility treatments because that's the most, simple language you could use. So he miscategorized that. He miscategorized his service. The guy has a problem with honesty. Why? Because IVF is a touch button for gay and lesbian and bisexual and tranny groups or whatever, the queers for Palestine types. Those people are all in for IVF. It's actually a pretty small number of straight couples that are dealing with that. Doesn't mean that you're not out there. It doesn't mean that you're a bad person per se, but there's a reason why people have a problem with it. And the problem with it, which is mentioned in this article, is that it throws away human life. So if you're a pro-life person, you're likely not into this. And it's strange that he decided to stand on that when that's not what happened. Isn't that weird? Isn't that a weird thing to do? To claim something that's false? Meanwhile, luckily, we have fact-checking coming in from our friends over at CNN. This is my favorite stuff. It's a 7-minute read, this fact-checking on night 2. And you'll be shocked. They just fact-checked Donald Trump. Yep. What you're seeing on the screen right now is a state senator who's carrying a book, The Mandate for Leadership, Project 2025. One of the funniest little lines in here, which I will come and read to you. Project 2025 has been led by the Heritage Foundation. By the way, Heritage has been kicked out of the Trump transition project. So they're not going to do the Heritage Foundation, the very conservative Heritage. They went with the establishment group. Donald Trump's not the solution, folks. He's down the middle. He's an imperfect solution, and he didn't want to do the most conservative thing. They're a conservative think tank. They've been doing this. They put it out every year. They claim that it began in 2022. That's when Project 2025 began, supposedly. It's the Mandate for Leadership, a conservative promise. It lays out all these ideas, what they want to do, concrete and clear recommendations for how they would handle the different White House offices, cabinet departments, Congress, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Donald Trump has said that he's not affiliated with it. Project 2025 has said that they're not affiliated with former President Trump. They're sad about that. I've talked to people at Heritage. They don't like to be able to say that, but they have to. And Trump claimed in July, I know nothing about Project 2025. I have no idea who's behind it. CNN, here's a direct quote. CNN cannot definitively fact check what Trump might or might not know. But it's clear that he has extensive connections to 2025. Oh, do you know what they do have extensive connections to over at the DNC? Crazy women, crazy females, mediocre actors. Look at the hand gestures on this. It's worth coming in watching the video if you've never seen this. Here is AOC screaming about union busters, I guess. That's what Donald Trump's all about. Just make it up as you go. But she's very gesticulated. They remind me of like a secular evangelicals, like secular Pentecostals. They've got the spirit in them, except the spirit is Satan. The chat is saying, don't do it. It's coming. Take a deep breath, y'all, if you have to. Cover your eyes and your ears. Trigger warning. AOC is going to sell it. And she's Southern for some reason, too, kind of.
And I, for one, am tired of hearing about how a two-bit union buster thinks of himself as more of a patriot than the woman who fights every single day to lift working people out from under the boots of greed, trampling on our way of life.
Yay! It gets shriller and shriller. I'm only going to get worse from here, people. Okay. Kamala Harris decided to use the second night of the DNC because she's not there, because she's going to wait for her unveiling. Oh my gosh, it's like hiding in the back before she gets her crown. It's so exciting. She was actually in Milwaukee. So she was a couple hours away, and she was doing a rally of 18,000 people. It's so many people. They definitely didn't pay those people. They definitely didn't pay those people to come in there, right? You know why I think they paid those people? You want to know? The Harris campaign officials said they weren't just doing a victory lap, but they were doing it because of the momentum that the vice president had. And they were choosing to hold a rally during the DNC because they are still the underdog and they have work to win over the hard voters in the battleground states such as Wisconsin. Those critical voters won't be in Chicago, and she met them where they are. She said, "Good evening, Milwaukee." And hello to those of us joining us from exciting Chicago. It is exciting. We'll show you how exciting in a second. The delegates of the DNC, well, they've just completed their roll call, and they've nominated Coach Waltz and me. Oh, my goodness. It's so good. To be the next president and vice president. So honored. Okay, so there's all that. The thing that I like most is that somebody said if she can fill up an arena that holds some 18,000 people, that could really get under Trump's skin. In recent weeks, Donald Trump has continued to make baseless claims that Harris campaign pays for her crowds as his Democratic rival gains momentum with large-scale rallies. If ABC tells you that they are baseless claims without being able to actually investigate whether they are or not baseless, it makes me think that they're real claims. That's why I just set my opinions the opposite of whatever these lefties say. And that's one of the things they said. Are you guys ready for real shrillness? Because AOC got nothing on this. They're going to meet voters where they are, and they're going to bring people that are going to turn the tide. Women, this is the 19th Amendment at work. I actually lost track of what this woman is saying. It's so shrill. But you must understand. I'm bringing you the lowlights here so you understand. I don't think it's actually selling people. This is the disconnect of the political elites in one, which is what Fox calls it, and then the teenagers that are disaffected and tearing up the neighborhood. We're going down this path. This is how bad this dinner party is going, and it only gets worse from here.
Been all in for us. Vice President Harris joined fast food workers on the picket line, and she walked a day in the shoes of a home care worker. She shares our vision for a modern-day labor movement, a movement that meets the needs of workers in the 21st century, and an economy that is ready for the future. It is going to be together that we write new rules to make it easier for all workers to join a union. And we are going to build a younger, darker, hipper, fresher, sneaker-wearing labor movement.
Racism, racism, racism. We're going to have more dark people and sneaker wearers. And we. Why does she say that? I say that to my kid too. I go, we all the way home. That's a big lady too, by the way. What in the actual fresh hell was that? I think she might be undergoing a gender transformation. That sounds like a 13-year-old going through puberty. Guys, you remember when that happened? And you were talking, and every once in a while, it would sneak out on you. Holy camole. I wish I could speak the Ujabu language so I could get a better way of expressing myself. Just bizarre. It's so weird. I can't help it. The word weird should not be co-opted by the left only. It's got to be ours because Man, if J.D. Vance is weird, what do you call these people? Extraterrestrial, maybe. It's just out there. Okay. It's been about 45 minutes since we started the show. It's about 40 minutes since we started the show. I'd like everyone to just stop and stand. Please stand for the national anthem. We're going to play the national anthem as they did to honor our country out of respect for the brilliant history and patriotism of many people in the United States.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad strides
They love America so much. That's the Women's Caucus. Repeal the 19th. What are we at? Where are you at in the chat? What do you guys think? It's hard. I mean, the national anthem has some of the most obscure lyrics. You've probably never even heard the entire song in its entirety, unless you've ever been to a sporting event or you watch anything on television where they do it, or you've ever been to a high school graduation, or have you ever been out in public where people like America. It's really hard to get through the national anthem. The lyrics are unpublished, as far as I could tell. You can't find them online anywhere. And the song just starts out of nowhere. It doesn't maintain any kind of like rhythm. It's just difficult. You got to feel for these people. You really do. It's hard to keep a straight face. I could do it. I could totally do a straight face. We're going to talk about Minneapolis in a second. How about the folks out in Minnesota that work for, it went away. I had a MyPillow. I'll just do it from here. Folks, if you want to go and support Mike Lindell, who cut off his mustache last night. I didn't see the videos of his actual mustache coming off. Maybe you guys did. I'll go look for it. He cut off the mustache and said that he's not going to look like Mike Lindell. I think he's going to look like Mike Lindell without a mustache. What do you think? In any case, it's mypillow.com/Kyle. If you're going to be spending money at the MyPillow store, use our code anyway. If you go to that website, mypillow.com/Kyle, you'll get all the specials for the week. I actually didn't look at them this week. I was telling somebody the other day how funny, I don't like their pillows. And so I just tell people that. It's the reason why I'll tell you not to buy gold. But the sheets are good. My parents sleep on the sheets. They like it. That works for me. The towels are fine. They make a decent product. If you guys are into it and you're going to spend money there because you like what they're about, you know they've been canceled, check out mypillow.com/Kyle. Use the promo code KYLE. Real easy. It's the softest sale you'll ever get, isn't it? Okay. Are you guys still ready? Because the lady doing the racism shriek and talking about how they're going to make a blacker and a sneaker wearing organization, that's got nothing on our former president's wife. Don't call her Big Mike. Shame on you guys. She got IVF. That's how it works. Are you ready for this? Because she's talking about generational wealth, like apparently all white people have generational wealth. So for those of you that do have generational wealth and you've been able to live that life of privilege where you can fail forward and it doesn't matter what you do, could you please put that in our comments below? Could you please, here, I'll just throw the chat up here. Can you please let us know who you are? We're looking maybe to do some really cool stuff. So we might need some financial backers and donors for some like maybe surveillance teams that go and dig up dirt on these people. Can you please just share with us who you are? Apparently it's all white people. So there's got to be a lot of you out there that watch this show that have this problem. Are you ready for the most racist thing? This might be the most racist thing I've ever heard in politics, at least in my lifetime. I'm not actually setting this up more than I should, I don't think. Here we go.
Most of us will never be afforded the grace of failing forward. We will never benefit from the affirmative action of generational wealth. If we bankrupt a business or choke in a crisis, we don't get a second, third, or fourth chance. If things don't go our way, we don't have the luxury of whining or cheating others to get further ahead. No. We don't get to change the rules so we always win. If we see a mountain in front of us, we don't expect there to be an escalator waiting to take us to the top. No. We put our heads down. We get to work. In America, we do something. And throughout her entire life, that's what we've seen from Kamala Harris.
What the actual... What? This is a woman who's only worked in the public sector, who's only lived off the back. Look, I knew it when I went to go work for the government. People used to say, thank you for your service when you're in the military. And for all of you service members, you know what I mean. They still pay you. Like, you get to go in voluntarily. Maybe you were in like rough circumstances. Not everybody took a six-figure or an $80,000 pay hit like I did when I was 27. But people go in, right? And then they pay you a check. Like it's a choice. Did you see all the white people there cheering for racism? I'm seeing in the chat over on YouTube. Last time I checked, I go to work every day. Yeah, man. Right, Ben? Isn't that how it works? You guys just get to just lay back and wait for the elevator to take you up the effing mountain. I'm blown away by that speech. And they were cheering. There were white people that apparently live that life, I guess. And they're cheering for that institutional, whatever you call it, that privilege that exists for them because of their skin color. What a shitty take. It's so bad. That's how they're going to connect with us, the voters. That's how they're going to connect with people in the middle? Good God. I just want to talk to you about how out of touch people are. Can we do that for a second? This is from the Oversight Project. Those evil people at 2025, the Heritage Foundation. I got this. This is fun. These are your taxpayer dollars. This is that money. You know, Kamala Harris has been working her butt off every day of her life and totally not been living on the public dime. Citing a resources issue, the Biden administration set the stage for an assassin to shoot Donald Trump. We sued the Secret Service. This is Oversight Project talking about it. This is Mike Howell, who I consider to be one of the people that actually gets it. They got documents from the Secret Service about lodging costs that the United States taxpayers are paying to keep Dougie, the second gentleman, and Kamala Harris safe. Doug wanted to go to a football game. He wanted to go see the 2023 college football national championships. I'm sure you guys can all afford to go there and bring a security detail. And the security detail spent almost $10,000 in just lodging. That's not per diems. $9,500 in lodgings. During the 1-year anniversary in August of 2022, during the celebration of the fall of Kabul, the second family decided they wanted to go to Hawaii, like you do, in August. So they did. You know what it cost the lodging of the Secret Service agents that went there to keep them safe? $756,000 in just lodgings for their vacation 1 year after the fall of America's probably worst pullout of any armed conflict in history. They have another tweet here following behind it. You guys can go find this on Oversight. It's at Oversight PR Papa Romeo. They talk about how Kamala loves space, so they wanted to go see a rocket launch. They spent $56,000 in Secret Service hotels so they could watch a rocket be launched. And then they went to the Philippines and got to hang out at a fishing village. And that was an $8,500 check for lodgings for a 2-day trip. $8,500 for the security detail. Now listen, if you go somewhere and Secret Service is protecting you, they have to live somewhere. They have to stay somewhere. And I used to get hundreds of dollars for 2 weeks to reimburse paying off hotels when we would go look for, like, I don't know, terrorists, like The Job. This thing is pretty wild too. Mid-October, they went to a swanky fundraiser and they had to secure the event. And to do the fundraiser in mid-October of 2022, the VP and her husband were in Los Angeles. The taxpayer cost for just lodging lodging and per diem was $111,000. It was a 6-figure amount for like a 1-day event because they have to secure it so that they can raise money so that they can run against us. That's the kind of thing that we're talking about. These people are just like us though, right? I want you to know how like us they are. Did you know that Doug Emhoff, whose picture you're seeing there on the screen, Doug Emhoff used to play ball and he used to hang out in a station wagon and he likes Slurpees. You ready? This might be one of the cringiest moments of Dorito Dougie. Enjoy this. If you haven't seen the video of them going in like fake finding Doritos at a Sheetz, acting like they're normal people who go on road trips and go buy Doritos. I have zero belief in that. I have zero belief in any of the veracity of the story, but it is gross. Sorry, you guys are getting the lowlights. Anybody who said stop, it's happening. Here we go.
Moved our family out to New Jersey. Where's New Jersey? I see you out there. When I was a little kid, and in a lot of ways, I had a typical Jersey suburban childhood. I biked around the neighborhood. I took the bus to Hebrew school. And I rode to Little League practice in the way back of my coach's wood-paneled station wagon. And if we did well, we got to have a Slurpee after. In my neighborhood, everyone left their garage door open. Wherever you ended up at dinner time, that's the family that fed you. Everyone took care of everyone else. And the guys I grew up with are still my best friends. The group chat is active every day, and it's probably blowing up right now, guys.
Guys, they have group chats just like us. He likes Slurpees. He rode in a station wagon. I rode in a station wagon. I used to get carpooled in a station wagon. We're like the same. This is so cringeworthy. And I appreciate you guys watching on X and also commenting in here that it's an act. Yeah, good dog. It is an act. Of course it's an act. This whole thing is just bad, crappy acting. There is a reason why the expression exists. Politics is show business for ugly people. And they are proving it every single night at the DNC. Don't get me wrong, the RNC was not great. They crashed Grindr people. So let's not pat ourselves in the back. This is why I'm not a Republican. But this stuff has got to be, like, I watched both. I watched all the highlights from both, the lowlights, if you will. You got Hulk Hogan tearing off a shirt. You're going to get my blood going because I was born in the 80s and that's my jam. And if Hulkamania becomes Trumpamania, like, I'm there for that. That's great. You guys saw, we thought that was great. This, Slurpees and just a regular dude taking a bus to Hebrew school. Ugh. Yuck. Yeah, if you guys don't know, I'm just seeing you in the chat asking. They did crash Grindr in Milwaukee when they did the RNC. So, that's a thing. The app fell down because there were so many people meeting up. Now, I asked the question on social media. I was putting it on Twitter earlier. Is there a possibility they crash it for the DNC? And then the answer came back, no, they all already know each other. That may be true. Maybe that's true. I just like the idea that he has a group chat and that's supposed to be connecting with all of us. That is how you end up with this. And Fox actually hammered this home. I had this instinct before seeing this article, but they hit it, so they get the picture. Kamala's coronation. It's not like a coronation of like an actual ruler. It's like the coronation of the homecoming queen, isn't it? Like platitudes. Nobody really likes her. She got the popularity contest because the mean girls are on her side. She's got Michelle Obama out there making people feel bad, hitting them for their white privilege, feasting like royalty. The Chicago DNC is held in a fortified castle walled off from reality. This is a former police chief. Isn't that funny? The troubles are not immediately visible at the 2024 convention. Why? Because they're hiding behind their walls. They're letting their kids run wild and burning things down. A few blocks away, you had a 7-year-old shot and killed. You've got all this ironic stuff. This is the former chief of detectives, public safety consultant, a guy named Gene Roy. He used to work for the Chicago PD. It looks like a damn war zone in Chicago with the number of people that are wearing helmets. My wife was talking about it last night when we saw it. She's like, oh, man. She's like, they look like British bobbies. If you've never seen how Chicago PD looks, yes, they have kind of a throwback style uniform. And they also have these blue helmets that look an awful lot like the UN's blue helmets, which is very interesting to me as well. I'm not done with the chaos. This is the people that are meanwhile like outside. Is this the outside? I think this is the outside clip. I wrote meanwhile outside, so I forgot to see what this clip is. But there's a disconnect from reality. And here it is. Oh, sorry. I actually updated this clip. This is what happened when Tim Walz was the governor of Minnesota. You've never seen this? If you've never seen this, if that didn't look like something you were like, oh yeah, I know this clip, then you need to tune in. Come into the end of the show and watch this. This is a family standing on their own front porch while the National Guard is deployed to a neighborhood that looks very much not like the Chicago streets. And they sent an occupying force of National Guardsmen to spray them with pepper balls. Now, I will tell you very definitively, because this is actually troubling. When you watch this, if this comes down your street, you can expect, especially in places like America, let's call it Texas, not Minneapolis, where they've been conquered by the Somalis. If this happens in an American city that is actually America, I would be shocked to find out that we don't see a kickoff of them versus us, and them equals regular people, and us equals regular people, and them equals whatever the occupying army that's taken over. My buddies who are retired agents from various different federal services said that if this happened to their family, if someone pepperballed their wife for standing on the front porch, they're going to kill everybody in the street. That's a real serious claim, and I actually believe him. He said, if that happens, it's over. Why would you wait anymore? I didn't know this happened at the time, and now you guys can't unknow it. Watch this.
Oh, there's more. Look at this. They just keep coming.
Go inside! Get inside! Get inside! Get inside! Get in your house now! Let's go! Light him up! Go inside now! Get inside! Get in the house!
Get in, get in, get in, get in, get in, get in! Get in!
Oh, God, that hurt. You good?
Are you okay?
Right on the fucking crotch.
Are you okay? You got hit?
I'm good. They're fucked for that, dude. What?
Okay.
Light them up. These are either police officers working with National Guard or National Guardsmen marching in the streets that have been told to push people back into their homes. Maybe that's why you shouldn't be living in a place like New York or New Jersey, because your gun options are not as good, because you can't actually go out and buy things to defend yourself when an occupying tyrannical force decides to march down your street and push you back into your house on your own effing property. When I heard my buddy say that this would result in him returning fire with deadly force, I thought about it and I was like, that's too much. But I've thought about it a lot over the last week or two that I've seen this clip a few times because we've shared it back and forth. And I don't think it's too much. If the police force is willing to come in and use even less than lethal force to keep you on your property when they have absolutely no right to do it, claim a curfew all you want. If I want to stand in my front yard and hang out, then I'm going to. And if you're going to try to come in here and use pepper munitions or anything else for that matter, and they're driving down in a Humvee that looked like it was an up-armored Humvee, it's made me think a lot about getting a 50 cal. I've been watching Eric from Iraq Veteran 8888 talking about how if you can, you should crowdsource even with a couple of friends and get yourself a Barrett to be able to do things that stop vehicles like that give them pause, because our government doesn't like you having the ability to do that. 29-inch barrel, you can send it through almost anything with armor. And it used to be a joke. And now it's like one of those real serious moments, because that's what this is about. And I have no faith that these people are going to do this thing in a fair way. There's no reason to believe that they're going to play this game fair. I don't think. They've killed people over selling a couple of Glock handguns to people that they didn't know well. So we're going to keep going with this. This is what was happening outside the DNC. So once again, that stuff that was happening under walls, this is what they're allowing under their own nose. These are their teenagers that are running wild. How are they going to win an election when the radical left faction, the anti-Israel, the pro-BLM, the pro-Palestine, the Aloha snack bar crowd, when the LGBTQIA sign out in the streets are screaming and breaking stuff down? How are they going to win an election if they don't have the radical left on their side? You think those people are going to show up and vote for them, or are they going to have to steal this thing? Because I just don't think we're going to have an election. And here's a little taste of what it would look like if we had to declare martial law because the radical leftists decide to lose their damn minds.
Stop funding the genocide! Stop funding the genocide! Biden Harris, you can hide! Stop funding the genocide! Stop funding the genocide!
All right, you guys. So how is that going to work exactly? How do they think this is going to play out? This is what it looks like when they have to fight the cops. So if you're somebody who's generally sympathetic towards law enforcement, which I am, except when they're not doing the right thing. At least they're fighting back, I guess. It's kind of they've been authorized to run down some of these Antifa idiots that are causing problems. Again, the adults are having white wine spritzers and they're toasting each other over racism, and the teenagers are breaking down the neighborhood. These people were losing their minds out there. They're picking the cops. They're picking fights with them. They're getting in their face. They're hitting them with flagpoles and stuff like that. And then the minute that they respond, then of course it's all like tyranny. If you go pick fights with cops, you're going to get hurt, especially when there's more of them and they have better body armor. If you go into my neighborhood and you start marching like an occupying army, then you might get hurt if you decide to be a cop who doesn't know what freedom looks like, who doesn't understand that that's tyrannical. So look, I see both sides of the coin. I'm just saying it's ugly out there. And the other reason is I don't think that there's a groundswell of support for Kamala Harris. I just don't see it. It doesn't exist. Let me see if I have this little piece here. How about this one? Yeah. So the Obamas, they did their thing. They're boosting Kamala Harris. But does it work? I mean, is it actually effective at making people go like, you know what? Yeah, I love Kamala Harris. Here's two little fun videos. One of them is just a white kid. I don't know who he is. He's walking around. The other one is Don Lemon, who's like a gay black man and now has to be on his own show. A couple minutes of this, of people talking. They're really funny. These are actually pretty like uplifting and light. It actually is pretty dark to me, though, because what it says is they are not getting the groundswell of regular people, including black women and white women who are otherwise like, I think you're pandering to us. We're seeing through your BS. So let's do these two videos real quick, and then we're going to wrap the sucker up. And I don't have a body armor sponsor yet, but maybe we'll work on it.
What do you guys think about Kamala?
It'll be cool. She's terrible. If she comes into office, it will be done.
It'll be cool to see a female black, you know, she's half black, not fully black, but it'll be cool to see a black president,
Western Indian,
female black president, but I'm definitely voting for Trump.
Let me tell you something. She tries to get the black vote because if you look at her past things and maybe 10, 15 years ago when she's in interviews, she identifies as West Indian.
She does.
The only way that she's identified as African American is right now, right now, because she wants the voters. But she doesn't give a fuck. Because where was she at in these past 4 years if she's vice president? What has she done for us?
She have not.
Can you say one thing that
I didn't even know she was the vice president.
Can we say what she has done?
Let's go, Trump.
And I am going to stand on Trump, and I'm so sorry if that may ruffle people's feathers. But I have done my own research, and Trump has done a lot for us, more than what the media tries to portray. They're getting all our favorite rappers. They're having Megan Thee Stallion twerk and all of that to gain, because they think that that's going to make us vote for them. And that's not.
And that never got my vote.
And that will never get my vote. And I'm going to stand on that. Twerking
did not get my vote.
Meg Thee Stallion, first off, the song that she was even saying is very ignorant.
I want this lady, the thick girl in the back in the brown outfit. I want her to be my hype person. I need a hype lady like that. Like whatever I say, she's just going to change. She was like, yeah, okay. I said, I would like a black. No, I don't want a black president. I want whatever you just said. She's awesome. It is kind of scary though, because how malleable was she? She's like, she black? No, she only half black. I mean, she's not even real black. It's like, oh, dang. Oh, it's so good. Anyway, that's fun stuff. I was watching these ladies go. They're calling it all out, right? Like, are those people? I don't know how long you had to go out there and chat to be able to get this person to say things that we all kind of see. But it is funny. I do need a hype person, like Beastie Boys style. That was like those guys were like growing up with Dougie Imhoff, weren't they? The Beastie Boys. They're just fighting for the right to party. Okay, I got one more. Again, this is Don Lemon. I just wanted to show you guys. We're getting more people showing up on YouTube. Thanks for joining us over there. I've seen a little bit of an uptick in some of the folks that are watching, so that's good times. Thanks for joining us on there. Thanks for joining us on X, and thanks for joining us on the chat, obviously, over on Rumble, where looks like we got over 2,000 doing that right now. So very cool. We appreciate the growth here, and I appreciate you guys tolerating me go long with this. Let's do a Don Lemon, and I'll give you a palate cleanser, and we'll get out of here for the day. I will show you the manhunt thing because it is funny that there's actually like a convicted murderer hanging out in a restaurant waiting for a SWAT raid right next to the DNC. Let's do Don Lemon first. Let's take a little taste of, is he trying to get the right answer? This is more people. It's not just one hype lady.
How are you feeling about the election?
I'm going for Trump. I feel like every time they don't want somebody who is good for us to win, they throw somebody black in our face thinking that's going to like make us vote for the black person.
I voted for Obama because he was black. I don't want to vote for her because she's the first black woman to run for president or to win.
I don't vote.
Well, I want Donald Trump. I'm sorry. I want Donald Trump.
Why do you apologize?
Well, I know nobody likes him, but we had good times with Donald Trump.
I'm running for Trump, so.
You are?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, why?
Yeah. I don't know. I just always been a fan of his, so that's what I'm running for.
I used to be against Trump. I used to live in Virginia. I saw the bad side of it, but really moving to Cleveland, I saw the other side of it.
I'm supporting Trump.
You are?
Mm-hmm.
Because?
Because it has to change.
Yeah.
It has to change, and now I vote more for what fits me better as a person rather than voting for the black person or voting for the first woman. So,
what do you think about Kamala Harris?
I think they say she's phony and fake, you know what I'm saying? So, like, you know, I'm like Trump saying, you know, what are you, you know? So I'm not feeling her. People get mad about it, I'm just not feeling her.
I don't like her the way she speaks, the giddiness, the laughing. Everything's a joke, and it's not a joke. We're in trouble.
I'm going for Trump. Kamala was on Biden's team, and I don't like Biden. Gas wasn't this high when Trump was our president. Food wasn't this high. I'm going for Trump.
That's a pretty powerful statement. I also like she says she's laughing about everything, but it's not funny. It's not funny. You know what's not funny also? Escaped inmate. Someone who escaped custody in Mississippi. He's a murderer, a convicted murderer. Is hanging out in a restaurant that's a couple blocks away from the DNC where Chicago SWAT is having to do that. Every time you put officers on something, and in this case, they've contained a guy in a restaurant, apparently. He's a 30-year-old escaped murderer. And or maybe he hasn't even been convicted yet. Looks like he was in federal custody. Got away from the Marshal Service now. And when you put people on a restaurant like that, that means SWAT can't respond to other stuff that's going on. And Chicago's a pretty violent city, particularly in the summer. This is the time when it would be like that. So this is the clown show we're dealing with right now. And I think people get it. Don Lemon's out there trying to get people talking about it, trying to push this forward and say, hey, like, well, but why not? I like that the lady, she apologizes. She's like, oh my God. Like, I'm sorry, but I like Donald Trump. He's like, why are you apologizing? You don't have to apologize. It's normalized something. You have to apologize for the bad policies of these other crazy people. You got to apologize to what you did to my national anthem, by the way, DNC. How about that? Anyway, I wanted to show you guys this last little piece there. And lastly, and this is maybe the kind of an indication, I do think it is an indication of that lack of trust when you listen to the media. It's not there anymore. It's not there in a broad way. So this should make some of them fearful. This is coming from, who is this? NBC News. Headline says, more pregnant women are going without prenatal care. The conclusion will shock you. So I didn't tease this out yet, but there's declining births in the United States. We know that, the number of women that are having birth. The issue is they're not seeing OBGYNs. They're not going to see OBs prior to. My wife is one of them, actually, in 2023. Went to a midwife. This is interesting. The lopsided trend, which was published by the CDC's National Center for Health Statistics, may reflect, this is speculation on behalf of NBC, it may reflect, in part, a growing number of women unable to access OBGYN care after the Supreme Court decision turned over Roe v. Wade. If they mean may affect the fact that women can't get abortions in places where states have decided to outlaw it based on what the voters said, that's a really fresh, hot take. The take is because women can't have abortions, they're not getting prenatal care? What the actual F are they talking about? Yeah, as whatever just said in the chat, might as well be racism. Totally illogical conclusion. These people are not interested in humanity. And if you want to go and see what the DNC is talking about, they are not interested in the human race continuing. They want to replace people with immigrants, but they're like anti-human. They literally have a vasectomy clinic and an abortion clinic outside. Again, go to my friends at Catholic Vote if you guys want to read about that story and the fact that there's a bishop out there who's blessing this stuff off. They're getting excuses, but the people The people in the pews, the people who need to show up at the ballot box, even the people who are in the Democrat Party don't like it, hence the fighting in the streets right now. Lefty logic is there's no logic. What do they say? If not for double standards, there would be no standards at all. We're pretty much in that space in a very strong way, and the projection is strong. The weaponized government is happening, and they're even going to deny all that crazy stuff. I don't get it. Stick around. We'll do more of it tomorrow. I know we've run out of time, I think, if that is such a thing. I just do whatever I want. Let me do a short 5-star review, and then you're going to want to hear the palate cleanser because it's fun, and they're two outstanding comedians, some of my favorites. Here we go. This one's coming from Cincinnatus, 1964, given to us in July. Love this podcast. 5 stars, sharp, crisp, knowledgeable, and patriotic. That is the aim. Sharp, crisp, knowledgeable, and patriotic. We only talk about the things we know. We being me. Me who put all these clips together to make you guys sick. Just wanted to let you all know that's why we were late today. I do appreciate you sticking around and enjoy this last little clip. This is a palate cleanser from probably some of my favorite comedians. Bert Kreischer has a show along with Tom Segura. Those are two of my favorites. And this is the great, and really the great. This is an appropriate epithet. David Spade, who is one of the funniest men ever. If you've never seen the chop and broccoli thing, you know that you have something to look up after this. Enjoy this impression of Joe Biden. I think it's spot on. And then we're going to get out of here.
If you told me to do an impression of Biden, I go, I don't know what he sounds like. But then when you hear someone do it, you go, that's it.
Yeah, there's young people online that do some amazing. But Biden was just, kind of initially as my father lost his job.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. No joke. No joke. No one thinks it's a joke. Not getting around here. Come on, like the founding fathers proclaimed in the Declaration of Independence. The people, all men are secreted equally. Excuse me, secreted, pardon me, Pirates of the Caribbean.
I don't do a lot of other podcasts, but I probably would watch that because that sounds really like a lot of actual joy. Folks, join us over on Locals. It's KyleSerafin.com. That's just my full name, KyleSerafin.com. If you guys want to sign up for the Locals community, you guys keep signing up every day, and we really appreciate that. That is going to keep us independent and capable. It's a backup stream. All of you who joined us on YouTube, who joined us on X, who joined us on Twitter, who joined us on Rumble, make sure you've hit the like, hit the subscribe, and share the video if you liked it. If you had fun today, if you got sick and you want other people to get sick too, you saw it, now they have to see it. Make sure you share this show. Thanks so much for joining us. All right. That was a lot. We'll see you guys again tomorrow. God bless you.
Thanks for listening to The Kyle Seraphin Show, streamed live weekdays on rumble.com/Kyle Seraphin. Follow Kyle on Twitter, Truth Social, and Instagram at Kyle Seraphin.
It was Dana Carvey. It's Dana Carvey. How did I forget that? I know exactly what he looks like. It's not David Spade. It's Dana Carvey. I'll always correct myself when I can. Thanks for keeping it real in the chat, guys. See you then.